don't know about you guys, but I really enjoy looking at other people's plant collections, so I thought I would show you mine. If this is your first time here, g'day. My name is Kathy. This is where I get to talk about my plants, and you guys are my captive audience. If you're a return visitor, thanks so much for coming back. I really do appreciate the support. So today I was going to take you on a tour of my houseplants, not just for you guys, but also for me, so I can look back on it in the spring, see what did well and what didn't. I don't have a ton of plants. I have limited space, I have a lot of bookshelves, and I'm in a wheelchair, so I can't put them just anywhere. I still have to ensure that the place is accessible. Though I do think I have found almost every nook and cranny in which to put a plant. Altogether, I think I have around 50 or so, give or take, as I keep adding to my collection. Oh, and if you stick around to the end of the video, you'll see some bloopers because I'm still extremely uncomfortable in front of a camera. All right, let's get started. This is my living room. It's an open plan living room. There's a kitchen, dining room, and living space. These are my two pests. Did I say pests? I meant pets. This is Remy. She is a 10-year-old German Shepherd who I've had since she was 5 months old. And this is Maya, a little black moggy, who is a bloody devil. This TV cabinet is opposite my north-facing windows. I only have a couple of things on here, otherwise it interferes when I watch TV. The first is this terrarium. This is such a sad looking terrarium. I thought I'd try my hand at it last year. It was such a spectacular fail. I killed 5 plants. I bought this FITTONIA and FERN spring last year, and by some miracle I've kept them alive. But everything else I have killed, except for the ALOE JUVENNA. That has been the lone thing in this terrarium for ages. I did take a cutting from my polka dot plant and also one of my peperomias. The polka dot plant is taken, but I'm not sure about the peperomia. Next to it is my HOMALOMENA camouflage. Really has gorgeous foliage. Reminds me a lot of the Aglaonema pictum tricolour, but it is nowhere near as expensive. She is opposite my heater, so I'm not sure if that's causing the crispiness, and if it is and it gets worse, then I'll move her somewhere else. Now these two plants sit in a south-facing window. They seem to be relatively happy. This parlour palm is my oldest plant. I've had it around 6 years. My parents bought it for me when I moved into this house. By some miracle I kept it alive, even though I knew nothing about plants for most of that time. It even flowered on me last year, so I must be doing something right. Next to it is my STROMANTHE sanguinea tricolour. It's part of the Maranticeae family, prayer plant family. I thought I'd try my hand at a couple of prayer plants. I wanted to see if I could keep them alive. In my experience, I find that they do get a little bit crispy when you first bring them home, then they seem to acclimate because all the new foliage is perfect, and I'm only giving them tap water, so they must like Melbourne tap water. It's a beautiful plant. Hanging next to them is my Philodendron heartleaf, CORDATUM. I hauled this recently and it seems to be doing fine. It even has a new growth point. Next to my couch is my Philodendron micans, definitely one of my favourite plants. I got this online and there was a little bit of damage, which is to be expected when plants are shipped, but not this. That was caused by me with the moisture meter. Oh, I was so upset when I did that. It really is just a gorgeous plant. I can touch this all day. I'm a leaf petter and this has velvety leaves. It's heart-shaped. How can you not love it? Next to it is my Philodendron BIRKIN, which I recently hauled. As you can see, Maya wants to be a star. I think she's in almost every shot. Now we're in my living room. This is in the north-facing window. I have a few plants here. This is my FICUS ELASTICA burgundy. Really beautiful plant. I think they're so underrated. I've had it about a year, and Maya is determined to get into every shot. As I was saying, this is a really underrated plant. It has grown like crazy on me. I've had no issues with moving it. It's really easy to look after, and the foliage is a really dark green, which is a great contrast to the other plants that I have. And even though it's almost winter here, it's still growing, as you can see. Next to it is my SCHEFFLERA ALPINE Junior, I believe, or umbrella tree. This has done nothing for me. I have had it for at least 6 months. I've moved it, given it more light. I don't know what his problem is, but just recently, I think I might be seeing something growing. So who knows, maybe it took 6 months to acclimate. Next to it is one of my all-time favorite plants. I don't know why, but this one just speaks to me. It is a PEPEROMIA OBTUSIFOLIA jade plant. It is gorgeous. I think it's tripled in size since I've had it, and it's still growing, even though it's winter here. Behind it is my SAGO palm, even though it's actually not a palm, it's a cycad. I've had to cut off 3 yellowing fronds, and from what I've read, apparently it's quite common for SAGO palms to get yellowing leaves, but I don't know why, and I'm hoping that that's all it was, because I can't really afford to lose any more leaves. Now this is my absolutely favourite plant. This is Monstera deliciosa. Just the plain old green variety. I don't need variegation to love this plant. It is just gorgeous. It is huge. It takes up a lot of space, and all this growth that you see is in 1 year. I'm going to insert a picture here of what it looked like when I got it last year, on top of which I've just had my first perforated leaf. I am so excited to see what the next leaf will be. I think I love it because it just does whatever the hell it wants, and it just grows every which way. I suspect that I might even have to buy another house just so that I can fit it in. But you know, I think I'd be willing to do it for this plant. I love it that much. We are now in what I laughingly call my dining room, and this is my Dracaena marginata Black Knight. It was in really poor condition when I got it. As you can see, the bottom leaves are really crispy and the trunk is really bent over. It's a lot better than it was, and I'm hoping that it will definitely improve as time goes by. Now this is a plant I'm extremely proud of. This is a Ficus benjamina Midnight Beauty. This is actually from 2 cuttings of 3 leaves, which I took off the mother plant, which I had last year. It got attacked by pests when I had the flu, so I kind of feel I may not have caught it in time. I did treat it, seemed to be doing better, and then I made the big mistake of moving it, and it dropped all its leaves. That's when I took the cuttings, and I'm glad I did because I ended up losing the mother plant, but this is the result. It is just beautiful. It's definitely one of my favourites, so I'm glad I was able to save it. Do you have any stories like that? Plants that you're really proud of? Let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. Now this is a Coleus. I'm not sure which type it is. I originally had mother plant indoors and it just looked so sickly and sad that I put it outside where it flourished. And after watching Pam's Pretty Plants, I decided to take some cuttings and see if I can grow it indoors. This is my Peperomia Eden Rosso. Such a little cutie pie. I have a thing for little leaves and delicate plants, and this is definitely one of them. And as you can see, the abaxial side of the leaves are really red. It's just a gorgeous little plant. This is my latest acquisition. It's a Peperomia Piccolo Banda. I really like the markings on this. We'll see how I go with it. Now this is my Peperomia Metallica. Oh, this one, I think I almost killed it. It had root rot. So I took some stem cuttings and I tried to propagate it, and I actually think they might have taken. So I'm very happy about that. This is my Peperomia Obtusifolia Lemon and Lime. If you haven't guessed yet, I'm a big fan of peperomias. I really love this one. It is just a gorgeous plant, and as you can see, the markings on the leaves are really beautiful. Now this is my plant of shame. I'm sure you can't recognize it, and yes, it is dead. This is an Aschenanthus radicans or lipstick plant. I am completely baffled as to what went wrong. Regardless, now I keep it just to remind me to be humble. This is my propagation box. After watching a couple of videos, I thought I'd try my hand at using sphagnum moss. This is my first time with it. Now this plant sits right in front of my sliding doors that goes out onto my deck. It is my Ceropegii woodii or chain of hearts. See all that growth? That is in 2 to 3 months. When I got it, it wasn't trailing at all. This thing just grows like crazy, and it's really, really stunning. As you can see, the markings on the leaves are really striking. We are now in my kitchen. I have 2 hanging plants here. This is my Heterohelix English Ivy. Oh, I love this thing. Again, when I bought it, it wasn't trailing at all. So all this growth is since I've had it, which is probably around 6 or 7 months. I know a lot of people in the States have issues with spider mites on these, but I haven't had any. I do wash it off with the hose just to be safe, but so far, so good. Next to it is my Epipremnum aureum, devil's ivy or golden pothos. My cousin gave me cuttings from his mother plant, and as he's the one who got me started on plants after I visited his home and was so blown away by the feeling that plants gave me, it's really special to me. So thanks, Jim, for starting my addiction. On my kitchen counter, I have some plants propagating and my 2 ferns. The first is my little rabbit's foot fern, which I think is just gorgeous, so ethereal looking. Look at those crazy rhizomes. When I showed this plant to someone, they actually thought it was a tarantula climbing out of the pot. I thought that was hilarious. There's a couple of crispy edges, so maybe there's not enough humidity, but overall it seems to be happy. I do try to water the rhizomes as well, so maybe that helps. Next to it is my crazy Boston fern. Oh, I just love this thing. I know ferns are supposed to be difficult, and when I first got it, it seemed to crisp a little, so I bought a self-watering pot. And it is just loving life ever since. I really hope I can keep it alive during the winter because I really love it. I'm sure people will recognize this. This is my Monstera adansonii, which is growing every which way. It really needs a stake. It's just getting out of control now. This is only one of a few windowsills on which I have plants. All my other windowsills are way too low, and I don't trust Maya. She is notorious for being mischievous and knocking things over, whereas she can't actually jump up onto this windowsill. So the first plant on the left is my Croton petra. It does have really stunning markings on the leaves, but it is definitely prone to pests. In fact, I just put it outside yesterday because it got pests for the 2nd time. I definitely don't like it as much as Coleuses. Next to it is my Hypoestus polka dot plant. I can't make up my mind about this. It was really looking faded, and I did some reading which suggested that you give it more light, which I did, and as you can see the leaves have darkened and it even flowered, but it still looks so ratty. Next to it are my 2 succulents, which are in the only pot I have without a drainage hole, so I'm very sparing when I water it. This is a Crassula Diane and a Blue Chalksticks Senecio. This is my Crassula ovata jade plant, which sits on my laundry window. It has grown so much. It's really happy. I like to have a plant in every room in my house, but unfortunately my bathrooms have no windows, so I don't have any plants in those. We're now heading into my study, and this is my Sansevieria trifasciata or snake plant. I know it's been reclassified as a Dracaena, but I can't bring myself to call it that. I really love this plant, and it truly is indestructible. It can take anything. It can take low light, medium light, it can take full sun, even 45 degrees temperatures. I had it outside for 6 months over the spring and summer, and it did great. And I just love Love the markings on the leaves. They're really stunning. They do look like snake skins. And as you can see, there are also some babies. I only brought it back in because I kind of missed it and I really love looking at it. Now we're in my study, which is a little jam-packed, as you can see. Yep, more bookshelves. And this is where my humidity hose live. I do have a humidifier, but I haven't put it on yet because the humidity hasn't dropped below 50. So we'll start at the back. This is my poinsettia. I'm really meh about this. It did grow a heap and I cut it back severely. Apparently that's what you're supposed to do. But if I'd known how difficult it was to get the red bracts, I don't think I would have bothered buying it. Next to it is my Calathea rufibarba. This is a lovely little plant, but as you can see, it's quite crispy. I forgot to water it. I don't know how I did that. It has beautiful velvety leaves, and I think out of all the Calatheas I own, it is probably the most sensitive. Next to it is my Calathea medallion. Again, a few leaves that are crispy, but overall the new leaves are beautiful and it seems to be doing really well. I do love the markings on the leaves. I think they're really quite striking. In the front, this is my Aglaonema Siam Aurora. I just love the banding on the leaves, even though I'm not a fan of pink. I bought this online and it suffered a little, as you can see, but seems to be recovering. This is my second Aglaonema, and I do find that they seem to drop their bottom leaves when you first bring them home, and then they seem to acclimate. Next to it is my Calathea lancifolia rattlesnake plant. Gorgeous little plant. I love the markings on these leaves. Again, quite a bit of crispiness, but the new leaves are coming out great. And I only give all my prayer plants Melbourne tap water, so I don't think they mind the water. I think it might be a lack of humidity. Beside it is my Calathea Beauty Star. Oh, I think this one is my favourite. It is growing like crazy for me, has very little crisp compared to the other plants that I have, and I think it only got crispy because I had it near the heater. I've moved it away from the heater and now it's doing a lot better. Really striking markings on the leaves, and I think out of all the Calatheas I own, this one is definitely the hardiest. Beside that is my Alocasia Black Velvet, which I recently hauled, actually losing 2 leaves. But I do know that alocasias are prone to dropping their leaves. I'm hoping once it acclimates it'll do better. It really does have gorgeous leaves though. Next to it is my Peperomia OBTUSIFOLIA variegated. I've had this for over a year, and for some reason it recently started dropping a couple of its leaves. I'm hoping they're just the old leaves that it was getting rid of, or that it might need a bit more light. But it's a really lovely little plant. And the new leaves are really interesting. They're coming out a little on the yellow side, which I'm assuming will then turn cream once they get older. Beside it is my Syngonium pedophyllum white butterfly. I think this is a really lovely little plant. I know there's quite a few varieties and I am finding this one really easy to look after, so I might have to increase my collection of Syngoniums. Next to it is my other Epiprimnum aureum, Snow Queen. I'm not sure if it is actually. I did wonder if it was a mandula, but I don't think it is. But as you can see, some of the leaves are quite striking. There are some with the white banding and then some with the dark green banding. If you don't think this is a Snow Queen, let me know down in the comments. I would like to be able to properly identify this plant. I have several plants on my desk. First is a Haworthia fasciata or zebra plant. I killed one of these last year, but so far so good with this one. Just love the banding on the leaves. It's really lovely. I also have a Peperomia clusiifolia red edge. This one is giving me a bit of trouble even though I've had it for over a year. I lost some leaves, so I took a stem cutting. Seems to be doing a lot better. I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but it does actually have red banding on the edges. I don't know what happened to the soil. I'm sure there was more soil than that. I also have an aloe vera, which keeps giving me pups. I've already given away around 5. I think I have another 10, but they're too small to give away. And she's still giving me even more pups. Also on my desk is this Peperomia polybotria, or raindrop or coin leaf peperomia. I was really unsure about this one. I'm sure you've done it as well. I went into a nursery, I saw a peperomia I didn't have, and I grabbed it. And it was only when I came home that I realized how much I'd spent on it. So I kind of resented it for a while, but it's really grown on me. I recently hauled this Peperomia prostrata, or string of turtles. I do think that the leaves look like turtle shells. I'm in my spare room now, and yes, more bookshelves. I only have one plant in here. That's my Philodendron black cardinal. I'm just so unimpressed with this plant. In fact, his name is Mr. Ugly. Which kind of makes me feel bad because all plants are beautiful, I guess, but this one, I just don't know. We're in my bedroom now. I only have a few plants in here. This is my Ficus Elastica Taniki. I really love the markings on the leaves on these. It's in a west-facing window and it's very happy. It's just as easy as my other ficus, but a much slower grower. This is my Aglaonema Night Sparkle, I believe it was labelled as. I'm in two minds whether I like this plant. I'm really not a big fan of pink, but I was really after an Aglaonema and this was the first one I bought. But it is very striking. Beside it is my ZZ plant, Zamioculcas Zamiifolia, or Zanzibar gem. I just love this plant. I think it is so underrated. I am having a bit of a yellowing issue and I don't know what that is, but I've had this plant over a year, and even though they're supposedly slow growers, I've had 4 new fronds. Now the last 2 plants in my bedroom is this Sansevieria Laurentii, which has the yellow banding. I don't like this one as much as I love my Trifasciata, or green version of this plant. Probably because these are ubiquitous in Melbourne. Again, very, very easygoing plant. And it fits so perfectly in this spot in my room. And the last plant I'm going to show you is this Dieffenbachia Camille, which I bought online. It suffered a little when I first got it home, but it's doing a lot better. I think this has amazing markings on their leaves. I do think Dieffenbachias are underrated. And they're really beautiful plants. They can get big too, so I can't wait to see this grow. And that's all, folks. Well, if you stuck it around to this point, thank you. I really do admire your endurance. I know I can ramble on and on about my plants. If you have any questions regarding a particular plant I own, or you just want to let me know which ones you liked and which ones you didn't, leave a comment down below. I do hope you enjoyed this tour. If you liked the video, you can give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content from me, you can subscribe. I usually bring out a video every Friday. Again, thanks so much for watching. Until next time, take care, guys. Bye. I need a haircut so bad. I have limited. Thank you, Mr. Phil. If you have any questions about any of them, I don't have a ton of house